So we're not going to delay this at all. We're going to jump right into it. These are going to be your beginner rules to get better at Undisputed. These are going to be the foundational things that you'll need in order to improve off of so that you can later on master this game and or your preferred fighter.
You can't imagine how bad these fighters want to get their hands on each other.
Obviously, if you want to do any job right, you have to have the proper tools in order to do it. And what I mean by that is your controller pick. I have a PS5 controller because it's plug and play, but I also use a Scuff. I use that because I put the slip mechanic onto my left back paddle. That keeps me from having to click in L3 and move it. It just makes everything a lot more seamless. Not only that, but it makes the whole process a lot more comfortable while I'm actually playing the game, and it helps me to build my muscle memory a lot quicker. The worst thing you want to have to do is to be in the middle of a trade situation in the game, and then you have to physically think about what button it is that you have to press or how you have to press it. That slows everything down, and you really don't have time for that. In order to start mastering really any game, especially any combat sports game or fighting game at that, you have to understand the ground-based mechanics of the game. If you just jump in and you start hitting buttons, it's really going to do you no good. You're not practicing with real intent. Your job in the early stages of learning are to memorize and implement practical uses of each of the mechanics in the game. The purpose here is not to design new tech. It's simply for you to build muscle memory in using the mechanics in the game while coming up with ways to produce relatively safe or positive outcomes for you.
Something special tonight. What an arena, what an atmosphere, what a building.
The slip is easily the most difficult mechanic to use in the game, not only because its placement on the controller, but because of the high risk reward use of the mechanic itself. An easy and practical way to utilize the slip is simply off the end of a jab. Once you make contact, hit the slip. Once you slip, a lot of times your opponent sees that motion and they also notice that they have been hit. They hit a button themselves. Once this happens, they have now opened themselves up to a free counter. Once you finally make the choice of the fighter you want to utilize, what you want to do is find out what their longest range buttons are. He who controls the space controls the fight. This one rule can make or break how well you will perform in Undisputed. The area in between two fighters is what's known as neutral spacing. The fighter who can utilize their long-range buttons better to control and manipulate this space is the fighter who is in more control of the fight itself. Now, although utilizing the step jab is a great tool in order to cover the neutral space in order to make contact with your opponent, it is not a safe option. So a lot of you are step jabbing your way in and do not realize that you're actually making a mistake. Here's why. The step jab, once it makes contact, puts you in a state of negative recovery, meaning that once you step jab, if blocked, you cannot get your hands back up in time before you get punished. And against faster opponents, you will get hit a lot.
This round's still up for grabs with just 10 seconds to go.
Now, this rule is going to be important for a lot of you right now, and it's utilizing combos, but not spamming. And here's why. When you spam, you typically don't know why you're actually getting the damage that you're getting. You also don't know the proper utilization of the combo that you're throwing because you're spamming it. Here's the issue. A lot of times, once we get in, we're so focused on hitting as many buttons as possible that we're not focused on actually exiting the pocket, which is why you will end up seeing yourselves get flash knocked out more times than you would truly like. And your record ends up looking like this. outside of space control, movement and defense are going to be two of the most important things that you can master in any game, and they deserve the amount of attention and time for as much as you can give it. Movement and defense are going to separate you from pretty much everyone else. Basic defense in Undisputed is easy. Hold the right trigger and then move your right analog up or down to defend either your head or your body. It's really that simple. It's just utilizing it. And I will do a defensive principles like 101 video at a later date. But for now, that is really as much as you need to know to defend yourself from most incoming punches. Now, movement is where it gets tricky because movement in Undisputed is not like anything else. And it's really because the fighters are weighty. When you move forward, there is a slight delay for when you want to change directions and move backwards. So you have to anticipate this in advance. The best that I can tell you is to just go in offline against the CPU and just move around the ring. Don't worry about getting hit. Just get moving and utilizing the analog stick and understanding the sensitivity that is required in order to make fine adjustments while in the ring. Marquee fighters come with their own unique animations. Therefore, you can actually utilize these animations within their footwork in order to bait out attacks from opponents or to create rhythm steps that give you an opportunity to reset before you get back into the action. And there you have it, folks. So for any of you who still felt like a novice that didn't know where to get started, what foundational things to develop in order to get better, or if you've already started and you've kind of skipped some of these things and you need to go back and you need to sharpen the tools again, then here you go. These are the things that you're going to need to focus on. Although not all inclusive, it is a very good foundation to break you out of maybe some bad habits that you've already developed. Next time, what we'll talk about is mindset. We'll go over what a high-level competitor is thinking and the decisions that we're making while we're in the ring and why we're able to download, as we say, our opponents, make adjustments, and pull out the win. So appreciate y'all for coming. As I tell y'all every time, appreciate y'all for constantly coming back and supporting the videos. We're only going to dig deeper and deeper as we get to a more and more higher level in this game, and we begin to explain this in an extremely, extremely high level. So stick along for the ride because there's so much more to talk about. Appreciate y'all for coming back to the Coach's Corner, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.
Thank you.